Well, hi. Today is Friday, August 22nd, 2025. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. Great time last night at Bike Night on the 100 block. Thank you very much. Folks have put that on. Always a great evening, always very well run, and lots of bikes last night, too. So we still have another one coming up in September. So if you haven't been to one, I'd encourage you to get on out. It's kind of a festival-like atmosphere and always some great music. Today, we are going to have a return visit from Jason Erickson talking about the Civil Air Patrol and how they have been helping out with some air shows in the area, one over in Fremont, Nebraska. And also, there's one coming up this weekend and another one next month on the other side of the state of Iowa. But Jason's going to tell us about that, about what the Civil Air Patrol does and how you can get involved. So all of that is on the way on today's show. Jason Erickson and his wife Jessa own the company ThinkSpace IT, providing expert IT solutions that keep your business running smoothly and securely, from cybersecurity and cloud services to network management and tech support. They simplify IT so you can focus on what matters most. Stay protected, stay connected, stay ahead. Visit ThinkSpaceIT.com. Service Master Restored by Schmader knows it can be hard to get back to normal. When you've suffered serious property damage due to flooding, fire, or smoke, you may also be left with all sorts of questions about how to get your home or business back to normal. Service Master Restored by Schmader will restore your space by offering quality, commercial, and residential restoration services in Council Bluffs and the surrounding area. That's Service Master Restored by Schmader. And do you or does someone you love need in-home care? Home Care Advocacy Network can maintain your own privacy in your own space while still receiving care and support with a personalized touch. You know, aging in place is critical for many people. Home Care Advocacy Network meets those needs with an understanding that assisted living is best at home. Visit hcan.com/Southwest Iowa to learn more. Welcoming back into our virtual studio, Mr. Jason Erickson with ThinkSpace IT, but more importantly, he is with the Civil Air Patrol, which is what's going to be the topic of our conversation today. Lots of stuff been going on with Civil Air Patrol lately and a lot coming up, right?
Oh, heck yes. Civil Air Patrol is always very active during the summers. We help out with all sorts of fly-ins, air shows, events. A lot of training is happening with all of our members. So it's just a nonstop dash. And now that we're school over in Iowa is just starting next week, which I know Nebraska started earlier now.
Right.
But now that school started, things are slowing down a little bit. So yeah, we have activities going on still always. And, you know, we're always standing by for the disasters and that kind of deal, which is, you know, what we're here for.
What do you do at an air show? What are some of the duties that the Civil Air Patrol performs?
The air show, a lot of times what we do is we just help keep the crowd safe. A lot of times we also help marshal, which is the people out doing the YMCA parking aircraft. We do that kind of tasking as well.
Okay.
So it's just basically we're the ones in the uniforms running around, keeping everybody safe, asking people to step aside for a minute, that kind of deal. And just making sure, as I always put at the end of the shows, it was a good show because there weren't any dents, dings, damage, or death. So that's what we work at.
When you go to these personally, are you able to enjoy the air show at all, or are you working the entire event?
Yes. A little of both. I will say that a lot of times we have the best seats in the house. The downside, while all the cool stuff is happening behind us while we're watching the crowds.
Right.
But yeah, it's for the most part, we do it because we enjoy it. We love being close to the planes. We just love helping out the community. And this is what we're here for. This is why we do what we do.
I can remember some of the air shows that I have been to, and it's always interesting to me, some of the different levels that I can see. And speaking of which, I've never been down to the one at Offutt. I've never experienced that. So
yeah, you should
I've heard
go.
it's wonderful. We used to go to the air show in Fort Dodge.
Yep.
Which was a pretty good show. I actually saw somebody land a Cessna on the back of a car that had 3 platforms up to put the wheels on. And it was a pretty windy day that day. That was actually the first time I'd ever been up in a plane, was at that air show, the first time we went to it. So got to take a Cessna ride, and I can remember flying around what was then a Kmart out there, and then turning around and coming back. Also, I think Ida Grove, used to have
Yeah.
an air show. That
Ida Grove used to have an amazing model airplane
that
show.
was what I was
Yeah.
going to mention. Was,
Oh,
if I
yeah.
remember correctly, it was like they were reenacting the Battle of Midway or something like that.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
All I remember is there was a lot of explosions and
Yes.
people blowing up very expensive toys.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember seeing these two planes. They kept doing these. They come at each other and turn sideways, and they kept doing it over and over and over again. And I thought they were just showing off until eventually they collided head on.
Oh.
And I think that's what they were trying to do,
Oh.
because they wanted the effect of it. But you're right, huge explosions.
Mhm.
It was really something to see at that particular air show. Do you personally have a favorite one that you get to go to?
Oh, the Office show is really good. We generally don't have a whole lot of involvement at Offutt. We're there as just, the Air Force Auxiliary that day, Civil Air Patrol, helping
Mhm.
out with, mostly recruiting for the local squadrons and that kind of deal, and helping out if Offutt asks us. The ones that I work that I really enjoy, the Fly Iowa one is very good. That'll be the one in Clinton that's coming up on the 19th. And then, anytime I get a chance to see either the Thunderbirds or the Angels,
Mhm.
I'm there. I mean, you're talking about some amazing precision flying. The other great, my level of great show are the Birds, the Angels, are the Golden Eagles there, which is the jump team from the Army.
Mhm.
If they have one of those, you're almost guaranteed a fantastic show.
I can remember being out on one of the levees on the Iowa side and sitting out there, nobody around, watching the Thunderbirds turn around and come
Mhm.
back to go back to Offutt as they were doing their performance. They had to, they have to fly out and turn back to come back again. So we were seeing them on the backside,
Yeah.
and with no crowd because we were by ourselves out there.
But you didn't get all the pretty photo ops though.
No, didn't get any of that. No.
If you aren't on that row of that front row, your photo ops are pretty limited. You get pictures of the birds turning, banking, and that kind of
Mhm.
deal. But for the hard banking, yanking, cool effect type stuff, that's always in the not cheap seats.
So
So I would say.
the Fly Iowa show coming up next month in Clinton.
Yeah.
What makes that one so special? Why is that upwards to the top of your list?
Well, Fly Iowa has been running. Honestly, there's two big air shows in Iowa: the Quad Cities Air Show, Fly Iowa, and they both have great activities going on. It is a huge draw to get people into aviation, and I think I just like them because they're the two biggest shows. They're always going to have a really good stunt crew. They're always going to have, your rocket cars and stuff like that, which people always love, the rocket trucks, rocket cars. Um, it always has something interesting to fun to watch, see, and do. And it really kind of has this county fair, type feel to it. Everybody's there to have a good time, and just so much to see and do. And that just doesn't happen as often as it should in Iowa or Nebraska or the Midwest anymore. So I love events like this.
Does the Civil Air Patrol have a booth to be able to talk to people about what it is specifically that you do at these air shows?
Yes, we'll always have a booth at these shows. They'll be manned by Civil Air Patrol CAP individuals who are very good at answering any questions you might have. There's always going to be the "Hey, are you sure you don't want to join us?" type push, and because we're always looking for folks who want to jump in and help and volunteer, and just serve the community. It's getting harder and harder to find volunteers nowadays. We are strictly volunteer while we wear the uniform, while we are the auxiliary of the Air Force. We don't get paid. We get paid in, cool opportunities more than anything else. A lot of my kids have flown on military hardware. Adults have flown on military hardware. It's just a good experience for the cadets. Our leadership academy, our leadership program, I should say, is to me second to none. I can't think of anything else out there that really emphasizes the leadership side like Civil Air Patrol does. So yeah, there'll be people there to answer any questions you may have. They'll have paperwork you can walk away with. They'll tell you to go to gocivilairpatrol.com because that's the go-to. And yeah, that's pretty much how it starts. They'll tell you where to find your local squadron to go talk with them because our meetings are open. People can stop by any meeting and just stop in and say, hey, we've heard about this. What do you guys do? And the meetings will talk to you as well.
So why is it that you're putting the best air shows on the other side of the state? I mean, can't you find a more central location for these things?
I have no responsibility on where the air shows are. Fly Iowa moves, which is probably one of the reasons why I like Fly Iowa.
So it's not always then in Clinton.
No.
Okay.
I think last year was in Clarinda, or the year before it was in Clarinda. Yeah. So it moves around the state. And like I said, it's a fantastic show. And the fact that it moves is also a huge benefit.
I guess I didn't realize Clarinda had that big of an airstrip that they could have an air show there.
We can put an air show on pretty much anywhere that has a runway, to be honest.
So you're going to Missouri Valley now?
We're good.
Yeah, you're going up to Missouri Valley to run off that grass runway?
I don't know. The Jets don't like grass.
You probably take off fine, but I'm guessing stopping's a bit of a problem.
Oh yeah, that little tiny wheels and a lot of weight is the biggest problem. So, and some of these home built planes, they don't like grass either. So they got little tiny caster wheels on them, and not so much on grass, cement only. So a nice long runway is all they look for, really. And there's a lot of airports that are perfect for shows like this.
Back when you and I first started talking about this, Jason, you described it as unintentionally the best kept secret around. Yeah. Is it still that way? Is word getting out anymore?
No. Well, unfortunately, our biggest problem is unlike the Scouts, I keep wanting to call the Boy Scouts, but unlike the Scouts, we can't advertise. We really just don't have the budget, and because most of our money is allocated towards our actual missions. So, I mean, all of our money is allocated towards our mission. So, search and rescue, finding what's lost, finding downed airplanes, that kind of deal is our primary mission. So, all of our money actually goes into our resources for search and rescue. Any advertising money, unfortunately, it's almost all word of mouth. We have our websites, we have social media, we have that kind of deal, but we just can't afford a large marketing campaign because, like I said, all our money goes into getting ready for saving lives and teaching youth. That's what all of our money goes to.
So with the squadron that you're a part of, mm-hmm. which is Atlantic, am I correct about that? Where's that located?
Well, officially, I'm stationed with the wing, which is the whole state.
Okay.
So I don't actually belong to a single squadron. I actually help all the squadrons in Iowa with my current job. But that being said, my home squadron, my original squadron, was the one in Atlantic. They're still going strong. The folks there would love to see anybody who wants to stop by. They meet every Tuesday night at the Armory. But that also being said, there's a lot of squadrons in Omaha. There's a lot of squadrons. Let's see, there's Fremont. There's one on Offutt. So if you're active duty, that kind of deal, and have a family in Offutt, you got a 12-plus-year-old kid, well, send them over to CAP. See what it's all about. We have, I believe there's a squadron over in Lincoln. I'm not quite so versed in Nebraska as much as Iowa, but we have Des Moines. We have, all across the state, there's squadrons. It's just a matter of finding the closest one. The downside is sometimes the closest one's an hour away because, we can only have so many groups.
It sounds like that with Civil Air Patrol, it's kind of divided up by state. Pretty well. I mean, it's yes. So you don't do much over in Nebraska, being on the Iowa side, then?
That's not necessarily true. We have a very strong philosophy in CAP. While we are broken up by states, which we refer to as a wing, so it's just an organization mm-hmm. piece. That's really all it is. Because we have the wing, so you have your squadron, which belongs to the wing, which is the state. Then the wing belongs to a region. which for us is the Dakotas, Minnesota, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri, and we're called North Central Region. And then above that is national. But that being said, I go to Nebraska all the time. I have other members that go to Illinois, which is in a whole different region. We all help each other. So when there's actually a big disaster, let's say Katrina or something like that, or the really massive flooding we had up in the North Dakota a few years back, it's not just that wing, that state that handles that. When things happen, we all pull together. Locally here, when I had the opportunity, I was incident commander for the derecho disaster that came through.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually pulled in 3 other states, assets and people to come help us get our photos and all that, to get our photos up to FEMA so that they could get in front of the president. The president could release money to help with the disaster. So we all pull together every time there's a disaster, because what happens if your wing gets decimated, your state gets decimated by something like the derecho, and you just don't have assets anymore because they've been destroyed? You have to be able to reach. So we're very much a national organization is the way we look at it. Even though we're organized in specific ways, we're a national organization. I just went over to Nebraska last weekend and did a full day of training with the Fremont group. And then I also was their flight line supervisor for the fly-in the day after. And that's because they were just short-staffed. They needed the help. I was happy to go over there and help them. And they were happy to have me. So I hope. I shouldn't put words in their mouth.
Is that a common thing, though, that typically there's more of a need than staff to cover it?
No, not really.
No.
It was just they were missing somebody in a particular key role, and it was just everybody was busy, and that happens. We all have to. Civil Air Patrol, since we are a disaster organization at times, I should say a disaster relief organization. I shouldn't say disaster organization. But
you're not causing the disaster.
We're not causing the disasters. We're not out there with giant fans or anything like that. But no, because we're required to render aid and that kind of deal, we actually have a lot of training that we have to go through. And if you don't have all the check boxes, sometimes you can't go do something because you don't have the check boxes. And that's really what happened is they got short-handed on check boxes. So I was I was the next closest asset. So I came over and helped.
When something happens, such as that derecho that went through and did a lot of damages, mainly, I believe, in the central part of the state where the worst of it was at.
Central and eastern, yeah.
Yeah. How big of a group did you need to pull together in order to effectively do your work?
Well, I had the tasking during the derecho where we actually had to fully photograph 2 counties, every square inch. So we had to get planes in, personnel in, all of that coordinated. So we pulled in, don't hold this to me because it's been a couple years now, but I believe we ended up pulling in 10 or 12 aircraft and air crews. And we actually had both counties 100% photographed in under 24 hours.
Wow.
And keep in mind, we can only take pictures during the day. So, yeah, we had a lot of aircraft show up from other states. We had a lot of the Iowa aircraft go over. Most of the aircraft Iowa was over there. And then our air crews, if they were available. Now, the local folks, they were kind of worried about, their houses and family and that kind of deal. So, they weren't available. The rest of us stepped in like we're supposed to. So it was a really cool thing to look at because it's just our airplanes are all painted the same. They're all red, white, and blue with the same livery. Livery is just the paint job. So it doesn't matter where they're from. You can't really tell where they're from. They all look the same. So we have some really cool pictures of a lot of airplanes on the runway over there or on the apron over there, pre-staging, ready to go to take all these photos. So it was a heck of a deal.
Do you think there's going to be a time when this maybe gets phased out a little bit more for drone work and drones being able to handle that level?
Drones have a couple issues. We do drone work. And during the last tornadoes, we actually did a whole town with drones. But the drones we used were the large fixed wing style.
Right.
The small quadcopter drones just don't have the capabilities yet to fly long enough, fast enough to cover large areas. They're great for small area search, for focused type items. But if you really want to cover a large area quickly, we have a fixed wing drone called a Wingstra that we use. And we set up a pattern, and it literally flies over the whole area, and then it combines that into one massive map, like a Google map type feel, of everything with very high resolution. So you could zoom in and really zoom in. Google, you can only zoom in so far.
Mm-hmm.
We can zoom in to the point where we can sometimes see blades of grass.
Wow.
So we're very high resolution, very tight for what we need to do. Now the quadcopter type stuff, when we use those, we're using those for different jobs. Like, because people think drones, oh, you go up, take pictures with the drones, we're good to go. With the drones, it's much better to, like, we need to go take pictures of the front of a dam or something like that, or a vertical wall of a power plant, or, even, fence perimeter and that kind of deal, making sure everything's still secure, or, sending a drone in where humans fear to tread. That's what drones are for in my book. We do have some really cool stuff that we're working on at the national level, where we can send drones in and it'll actually build a 3D map live of the disaster area. So you can actually drop yourself in anywhere in the disaster area, and you can kind of look down and in and through and that kind of deal. It's very, very cool stuff. But we're always looking for new ways to serve, and that's one of them.
Well, and always looking for folks to get involved too. So if you're looking for something to do and it's a place to volunteer, let's be honest, it's just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Civil Air Patrol should be right at the top of your list.
And you don't have to fly to be part of Civil Air Patrol. We have a lot of ground team folks that do, these fly-ins, all that stuff, that's all ground team. There's no air crew involved. I have members who are wheelchair bound. I have members who just, have physical limitations, but there's stuff that we do that honestly, we need folks who have time and have the patience to go through stuff. When Puerto Rico went through, when the hurricane went through Puerto Rico, we had a tasking here in Iowa, as well as the surrounding states as well, where we were responsible for going through all of the pictures that were taken and doing damage assessments per property. So we could take a look at the building, and then we'd grade the building on how damaged it was, and then we'd forward that on. And, it's a lot of time just looking at photos, making judgments and assessments. But what happens is all that data gets crunched, put into a really nice report, so FEMA can actually look at per street what the damage level was. This neighborhood got decimated, but this one just has some roof issues, so we need to focus our money on the devastated area first. So we need folks who are willing to, do some of the sit down work, some of the radio work. We have we have one of the largest radio nets in the US. So when things go south, we're actually been tasked for being a backup for presidential traffic. So our radio network actually reaches across the whole US. And it's possible that when things really hit the fan, the president could come to Civil Air Patrol and say, here's a presidential message. And basically we will broadcast that message and get it to the end party that it needs to get to. Hand delivering the envelope saying, president wants you to do this, So we have amazing comms type equipment. So if you like playing with new radio type stuff, we have a lot of that. We have a lot of just cool tech, cool toys, and a lot of honestly fun people just to hang around with.
What's the website, Jason? Where can folks go to learn more and maybe explore the option of if they want to physically get involved?
Same pattern as every other military website. Go civilairpatrol.com. So if you go there, you'll be able to find a squadron close to you. You'll be able to pull up all sorts of information about what we do. There's almost too much information up there. Even our regulations and that are up there. So you can really dig into what CAP does, and you'd be amazed at what is there. You're not expected, no volunteers expected to do it all. We are so broad that honestly, everybody finds their niche. And that's the plan. You get good at what you do. So when we need you, we can knock on the door and say, hey, there's a problem. Can you help? And then you can jump in and help.
So if you're looking for an extended day trip to be able to take, the Fly Iowa Air Show is in Clinton on September 19th. The Quad Cities Air Show, what day is that?
That's Saturday and Sunday of this week.
Okay, so that is coming up this weekend
Yes.
in order to be a part of that. So if you need last minute plans, there you go.
Exactly.
All right. Jason Erickson, Civil Air Patrol, thank you so much for filling us in on everything that's going on, and welcome back anytime.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I appreciate your time.
Sounds like a fun road trip, doesn't it? So if you don't have anything to do, let's all caravan all over to Clinton, Iowa. I don't think there's any farther place away than still being in Iowa. But it's on the Mississippi River, and it's really pretty over there. Since 1870, Avela Bank has been providing Iowans with high-quality financial products and services to fit their needs. Do you need a loan? Starting a new business account? Need to save money for a trip? Or looking to open a personal checking account? Avela's qualified bankers can help you with all of that and more. Visit avela.bank to learn more. And coming up on Monday's show, we're going to have Council Bluffs Market President for Avela. Is Dave Zimmerman, and he'll be joining us here on Morning Coffee. S&B Country Kennel, the top spot in Southwest Iowa when you need to know your dog will receive only the best. Boarding, daycare, grooming, self-washing, training, even a membership available to a dog park that's over an acre in size. S&B Country Kennel also has rescue dogs, so check with them about adoption possibilities. S&B Country Kennel, located just west of I-29 on Bungie Avenue, south of Council Bluffs. We've made it to the end of the week, and heading into what looks to be a very pretty weekend. And I hope you get outside and enjoy some of the nice weather. My name's Todd Studer. We'll see you back here Monday morning.